Two people found dead in Baytown linked to gunmen who killed two other men, injured two others, police say. The causes of death and identities of the two people found dead have not been released. This was written on khou.com by Chloe Alexander, published on October 10th, 2022. Let's go to Baytown, Texas. Two people were found dead in Baytown on Sunday, and they're believed to be connected to a man who killed two men and injured two others last week, according to police. The bodies were found Sunday in an oil field near Causeway Road in Evergreen. The causes of death and identities of the two people have not been released, but Baytown police said through the course of an investigation, they learned the deaths may be linked to the suspect who killed two men and injured two others in two separate shootings last week. The suspect in those shootings was identified as 33-year-old Ron Welch. He was later shot and killed by police. What happened? Wednesday was a chaotic day for Baytown officers who were encountered by Welch, who they said shot four people, killing two of them. According to Baytown Police Chief John Stringer, his department got a call about a shooting near the intersection of Tri-City Beach Road and Evergreen Road Wednesday at around 6:30 p.m. Police found a man and a woman who had been shot. The man was pronounced dead at the scene. While they were investigating that shooting, they got a call about another shooting at the trailer park down the road from where they were. One of the victims of that shooting was flown to a hospital where they were later pronounced dead. When the officers made it to the trailer park, witnesses told them Welch was heading back to Tri-City Beach Road shooting scene. Stringer said officers confronted Welch and were forced to shoot him, but didn't provide specifics. Welch didn't survive. Anytime that an officer discharges their weapon, it has to be in defense of their own life or the life of another person, Stringer said, answering a reporter's question. There was a physical threat, yes. Stringer said the other two people that were shot and injured were expected to survive. As for the officers involved in Welch's death, they were put on paid administrative leave, which Stringer said is standard in these cases. The victims in the shootings have not been identified. Police said they all lived in the same community as Welch. The Baytown Police Department and Harris County District Attorney's Office are investigating. Now, this is a horrific story that happened in Baytown, Texas, but Baytown has been seeing a lot of action lately, and I wanted to say that Baytown is no stranger to mass shootings. This is a story that came out way before I started covering mass shootings on my channel. 13 people injured, 1 killed in drive-by shooting during Baytown Vigil. So people were praying for somebody who had just died and ended up getting shot or being killed while praying for somebody who was probably killed by gun violence. Deisha Allen, 25, of Humble, was identified as the victim who was killed in the drive-by shooting. She is the mother of a 4-year-old girl. Rest in peace. This was written by Corey McCord for the same website. Baytown, Texas. One person was killed and several other people were injured Sunday when someone opened fire on a crowd that was gathered at a celebration of life, according to Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez. It happened in the 1400 block of North Market Loop in Baytown. Gonzalez said a crowd of about 50 people gathered just before 7 p.m. to honor a recent murder victim. He said someone in a vehicle started shooting into the crowd as they started releasing balloons. One person was pronounced dead at an area hospital, and Gonzalez said at least 13 others were injured. The victim who died was later identified by deputies as 25-year-old Deisha Allen of Humble. According to Allen's sister, Deisha was the mother of a 4-year-old girl who has a birthday coming up in the next couple of weeks. She said her family is devastated and that Deisha was an amazing mother. The sister told KHOU 11 News that Deisha Allen went to the vigil to celebrate the life of her daughter's godfather, who was recently shot and killed in Baytown. Her daughter stayed with her grandparents that night and did not come to the vigil. What a horrible, horrible story. 3 of the shooting victims were flown to area hospitals in critical condition, and the other, according to Gonzalez, sustained non-fatal injuries. Gonzalez said some of the victims could be children, and the bounce house at the scene was full of kids when the shots were fired. Authorities said a disturbance broke out at a nearby hospital when victims arrived for treatment. A suspect description has not been provided, but investigators did say they believe the shots came from a small dark-colored sedan. Deputies said they are investigating an abandoned vehicle that was found set ablaze 2 miles from the shooting scene in the 6700 block of Juarez. This was at about 11:30 p.m. They said the vehicle matches the description of the one used in the shooting. Gonzalez asked anyone with information about this scene to call HC SO or Crime Stoppers at this number. And that's the end of this story. This happened back in 2021. And this story that I just read at the beginning happened a few days ago in 2022. So Baytown, Texas, and many other parts of the South in small towns are suffering from gun violence epidemically. It happens far too often. There have been over 625 mass shootings in the United States alone. 4 people lost their lives in the Baytown shooting here. 13 people in the one that happened last year, right before Christmas time, cost 13 people, bodily health, and 1 person their life. And this person ended up being shot by the police. This demon ended up being killed by the police. All of this is senseless, preventable violence if we actually mitigate the number of guns that are in America. Period. Abolish the Second Amendment, have actual nationwide gun control so that we don't continue to read these sort of stories, and you won't have to see my face. I can start covering other types of stories. But Baytown, like I said, is having a lot of action. This is another story that's getting a lot of traction on the news. A jury finds Baytown officer not guilty in 2019 shooting death of Pamela Turner. Dela Cruz shot Turner 5 times in May 2019 after trying to arrest her for outstanding warrants. She grabbed his taser and used it on him before he shot her. This was written by Chloe Alexander and Michelle Homer for KHOU.com, published originally on October 11th, 2022. Baytown, Texas. Baytown police officer Juan Dela Cruz has been found not guilty in the 2019 death of Pamela Turner. He was on trial for aggravated assault by a public servant, a first-degree felony. Dela Cruz shot Turner in 2019 after trying to arrest her for outstanding warrants. The shooting happened at an apartment complex on Garth Road where they both lived. Authorities said during the encounter, Turner grabbed Dela Cruz's taser, used it against him, and that's when he shot her 5 times. Jurors watched body cam video of the shooting. Turner's family said the shooting wasn't justified given Turner's history of mental health issues. Pamela Turner's killing was a tragedy for her family and community. Bringing excessive use of force charges against an officer is always difficult and uncomfortable, Harris County District Attorney Kim Ogg said Tuesday. We respect the jury's verdict. The death of Pamela Turner. Turner's family said she suffered from schizophrenia, and Dela Cruz knew that. Neighbors also said she was no stranger to the police. She was mentally unstable, and the officer knew that because they had arrested her many times. Neighbor Latrice Noffin said, last time she got arrested here, they tasered her. Turner's family said the shooting was unjustified and the officer could have used less than deadly force. Instead, he shot at her 5 times, killing her, and it was all caught on camera. The Snapchat video went viral, garnering national attention. Black Lives Matter got involved, as well as Reverend Al Sharpton, who delivered the eulogy at Turner's funeral. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump even picked up the case. Some believe the shooting was justified, while others called it murder in plain sight. It took a year and 4 months of Dela Cruz to be indicted in connection with Turner's death. What happened during the trial? On the first day of the trial, both the prosecution and defense got through the witnesses faster than expected. During opening statements, prosecutor Tim Adams told the jury that while tasers should be used in some situations, this was not one of them. It did not have to happen. Adams said, it should not have happened. Defense lawyer Gregory B. Cagle opted to defer his opening statement until later in the trial. Prosecutors played body camera video during the trial showing the struggle between Turner and Dela Cruz before he shot her 3 times. All right. Lieutenant Eric Lopez with the Texas Rangers testified Turner resisted arrest, then used the taser on Dela Cruz's genitals, which can cause serious bodily injury. When asked by Cagle about the use of deadly force here, Lieutenant Lopez replied, my opinion was that it was reasonable. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump is representing Turner's family in a civil lawsuit over her death. I don't care what the Texas Rangers say. There is no way to justify this, Crump said. The jury also heard from a use of force expert and the apartment complex property manager, and that's the end of the story. So, I commented about how gun violence in America is causing many Americans to lose their lives. Also, it's causing many people to lose their lives at the hands of police because the police believe that the people that they are arresting could be armed and could cause harm to them. This is very strange to the rest of the world, but for America, this is normal, right? Because Americans are pretty dumb. What I'll say here in this case is that people with mental health should be treated better in the United States. The reason why many people don't want to cooperate with the police, don't want to call the police when there are issues happening, is because the police are sent to try to rectify almost every sort of social problem. You have a domestic abuse situation, unless it's very, very serious, right? If you're just arguing with your husband or wife, please don't call the police. I'm not trying to excuse domestic abuse. If you're being abused by your partner, you should call the police. But what I'm saying is, if you maybe have somebody with a psychiatric episode and they're going through this problem, calling the police, for many people, as we've seen time and time again, the police handle people with mental illness very wrong. And we need to not just try to call the police to have this be resolved, because this can obviously end in death. And this is why people mistrust the police. The use of force in America by the police is because of the broader culture, the systemic culture in America of shoot first. Guns can solve everything, right? That's why this happens. In other countries, police deal with people who are crazy all the time and they don't end up dead, because they do not have this cultural mindset that, guns can solve problems. In America, the culture, the mindset, the society has conditioned us to think that guns make us free, make us safe, and make our society better, when it does not. This woman, Pamela Turner, lost her life because of misunderstanding by the police. Causing him to decide deadly force was the way to handle this. This person was mentally ill and did not have to lose their life, and this is a crime and a tragedy, and it should not have happened. I do believe he should have been held responsible for her death. But I also think that we as a society should reform the way we structure our mindset about guns, first and foremost, so that we can have people not be in dangerous, deadly encounters with police. So, rest in peace to all of the people that I've mentioned here in this video. Baytown, Texas, you are very wild right now. I hope there's some peace here, but the peace will come when we actually abolish the Second Amendment, have actual gun reform in America, and make it safe for all Americans, white, black, Hispanic, Asian, Indian, everybody. My name is Simon Hill. Thank you for watching. Peace.